All right, time for Market Garden Enforcer Imperial Stout. Good things take time. This is an example of that statement. Aging Elijah Craig bourbon barrels for an entire year, which brings a soothing vanilla aroma with roasted chestnuts, candy caramel, and American oak. Full-bodied as were a black, smooth cherry char that warms the soul. It's an ABV of 10.5.
Oh my god.
Sexy. By the way, that was the most... I've had a couple sips of this, and that was like perfectly written for what this tastes like.
Wow, yeah.
Perfectly
really
written.
good.
Other than the soul part, because there's no soul, so, you know.
And does that thing come in a grenade?
Dude, it's an explosion of flavor.
And it's got a pin tag on it, too.
It's a barrel.
Pull it and throw it, and let's see what happens.
This thing is dark as night.
Dude, that is... Dude, I'm glad I sipped it first before you read that, because I wouldn't have appreciated everything you said between the vanilla and the cherry and the oaky and all that stuff. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
That's all... Wow.
The vanilla is intense.
And it has a very subtle aroma on the top. It really does. You don't really... It doesn't punch. It's a really soft kind of bouquet on the top. You know, it's
freaking smooth. It's dangerous.
You know,
it's pretty amazing. It doesn't... It almost barely... I don't know. It's like a hybrid between hard liquor and beer to me.
Wow. That is... I mean, right on...
It's pushing that kind of Guinness type of... What is that? Stout?
Yeah.
It's like a stout.
But it's not... It like pulls up short of that, so it doesn't have that heavy dark. So, like, that's pretty good.
Being a bourbon lover, this is hitting me in all the right places.
Yep.
The heart, the soul, the mind. I mean, this is lovely.
Yeah, it's love. It is.
That is like a bourbon ale for the light beer
It's
drinker
love in a
almost.
grenade.
Oh my
I
lord!
can't even get with this. I am so anti-bourbon. I'm sorry.
Wow.
It's
Did
just
you
that
taste
the,
it?
the oaky
pulling
flavor.
anything.
The vanilla hit it.
I thought you were an American.
I don't know, man. Maybe it's just
We like alcohol in our alcohol.
a Slovakia thing.
You don't want it?
You're checking. You like it?
Hey, I'm Slovenian.
Yeah, all right. Got some Bohemians in the house.
We gotta save it if you don't want it.
Dude,
oh, yeah, you guys
this
can-
is so good.
The vanilla is a little strong for me, and then I followed up by the bourbon oaky flavor that I'm not, and all the sugary stuff. It was just strike 3 right there.
I mean, aroma, for me, the aroma on the top is almost black licorice.
Oh no! Don't say that, because I'll be so turned off.
No, don't go there, because that'll put it bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I
I'll start
I apologize.
imagining I taste it.
I'm a lover of it, but that's okay. Everybody to their opinion.
Black
Licorice is
the
disgusting.
I retract my statement for your own mental wellness.
I think we all agree on that.
Yeah, there are a couple flavors that
This is
just
so good.
turn me off, and black licorice is one.
Well, it's not the flavor. The
think
flavor.
that's-
I don't taste black licorice at all. I do taste the vanilla, and the cherry. The cherry comes across as well.
I'm getting that
Yeah.
at the
If we
end.
go to the Rapture, if we want to get into Rapture, if we want to do a forced Rapture lineup. Do you like black licorice? You're out. Like that is going to take a very necessary group of people out.
I'd rather be where all the people who don't like black licorice are going.
Exactly.
Rapture to 4 more years of Trump. I don't know. I'll go with Rapture.
I will say that black licorice is definitely better than chocolate licorice, because chocolate licorice is kind of like the grape nuts of licorice.
And I'm a chocoholic, but
Wait a
it's
minute now. What's
chocolate
wrong with
on
grape
licorice.
nuts, man?
It's disgusting.
Well, grape nuts is neither nuts nor grape. All right. So chocolate licorice is really neither licorice nor is it chocolate.
It's a food-like product.
I hate how people keep trying to wreck chocolate.
It's vegan.
right.
chocolate.
But it's not chocolate.
They're gonna be chocolate.
Chocolate licorice is not chocolate. I don't care if they claim that Hershey's is in there. It's not.
It's
okay.
vegan.
So it should be
there.
brown licorice, because red licorice is not.
I will
licorice,
never
but
try
it is
that,
red.
so I don't have to worry about
That
it.
is true, except for Aussie. I mean, Aussie licorice is amazing. I will eat that any day of the week.
I think I just got drunk, like right now.
I tell you, it's
Like
really
literally
sweet.
right
Yeah.
now, I just went, I feel different. And
Yeah.
I'm
I
3/4
feel
of the way
pretty.
through that thing. What was that again? The what?
Aussie licorice.
Aussie? No,
I
no.
love-
What is the
No,
beer?
the
Oh, this This is the Enforcer Imperial Stout.
It isn't. Wow, dude! Like just
It is
literally right now, I just
enforcing
felt like a left hook.
The fact that it's making me drunk.
See, me and Mike eat meat, so we don't feel that.
Yeah.
Again, this is
your veins and arteries are all clogged up. With,
It slows down the blood
cholesterol.
flow,
You
right.
can't. It's not there. Mine went right to the old brain, man.
See, I'm fine,
won't
but
feel
that's
ours
just
till a year
because I
later.
drink a lot of bourbon. So
You good.
again, because I'm an American, so I drink bourbon.
Market Garden, you did it. I'm proud of you.
Dude,
You did it.
fantastic. Hats off.
You did it.
Except for Mike.
I wish I could be. I mean, I seem always on the outside looking in on these.
It's all good, man. It's all good.
I don't think you
I'm
like
with
stout.
you. I'm with you, but you still got to drink that whole damn glass. You can't be a Bible over brew team
It's
member
not
without-
carnivore. I'll.
Oh, wait a minute now. So what you're saying is
This is good with the cigar too, by the way. You can
Yeah.
Drink it out of a cow's udder.
I will take you up
I
on
have
that.
a buffalo scrotum over here. Can you?
Oh my. On that note,
So, speaking of scrutums,
Okay. Oh, okay.
let's try cheese.
oh,
terrible.
what a
imagery.
terrible segue.
I don't.
Because it turns out there is an actual correlation.
Between?
Cheese and sperm concentration. Yes, I went there.
That actually isn't.
So it turns out 1 to 20 to 2.5, 1 to 2.5 servings per day decreased sperm count, and this was done at an actual clinic. And so on their intakes, they asked participants how much of each thing they ate. So that also included vegetables, it also included meat, it also included et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? Well, cheese intake, there was a direct correlation. If there was 1 to 2.5 servings, there was a huge decrease in sperm count as opposed to those who only had half serving or less. So you can see it's approaching 60% on the sperm count level as opposed to those who were partaking in cheese. And that's a direct correlation to the concentration.
So that's all. That's pushing me to a treacherous slope because I'm anti-population.
Exactly. I was just gonna say.
So like, but I'm also anti-cheese. But so go ahead and eat cheese for less people, or less
Well,
cheese.
there'll be more. There'll be
Which
more
is
than that
more
shortly.
important?
Okay,
Yeah.
but
So-
break down this infographic for me. So it says half servings per day, and what? So you have millions.
So you have
Yes.
Was that millions of sperm?
millions of
per-
sperm
Yes.
per milliliter.
Yes.
Oh, and
So
this
you're
is
saying
per
that
day.
there's-
So if you eat a half a serving that day, you'll have up to
Up, it's
almost 60.
right within
So
getting
I
close.
am totally infertile.
I didn't want to tell you that.
And if you eat up to 2.5,
Yeah. Then
Oh,
it
so-
decreases down.
So
to,
you're only about 20
Oh.
million sperm difference.
yes, but there was a marked difference.
so max sperm count is 60 million, and then if you eat about 2.5 servings, you're down to 40 million.
Yeah.
Does this even
Man,
matter?
that's still
That's
pretty
not
good
even,
odds.
that's not even 60 though. That's more
It's
like
still
like
pretty good odds,
56
but
right there.
but
for
Does
half-
this even matter? All it
but
takes
there
is
is.
one.
That's what I'm
But
saying.
there,
It's
but
pretty
there
good
is
odds,
there
man.
is almost.
I don't know
a-
if this is a relevant study to anything.
That's what I'm saying.
When we're talking about one little sperm against 40 or 56 million.
Well, there was a 20%
I'm gonna need to see a
difference.
picture
So,
to prove it, Aaron.
it's up there.
Wait, what are these? What are these?
1, 2.
What are these plastic cups over here on the shelf, Juice? What are we doing with those 5 plastic cups? There's a specimen on them.
I didn't
Can
want
you
to.
just,
I
like,
didn't
can
want
you-
to tell you,
Can you
but
see a couple in couples counseling? Like, is it you
And
or
why is there a
me?
block of cheese next to them?
It's the cheese.
How long?
Did I-
Man, this is.
did I mention that we're taking a trip right after this to a clinic?
So I gotta ask it. All right, so I thought it was meat versus no meat. So the no cheese thing, we're being
Oh, wait a minute now.
Vegan
We're-
versus
no.
carnivore.
okay.
Dairy is in cheese. That is actually, well, from my seat, that's actually just as bad or even worse as far as that crux of the argument goes. FYI.
So
Yes.
naturally, my whole life, I've had an aversion to dairy.
Right.
I could never have cheese.
Well, why would you want to drink another specimen's breast milk.
It is gross if you think.
I mean, think about it.
It's
Like if I went out and milked a skunk, would you drink that?
No, that's different.
Why is it different?
If I went out
Why?
and if
Why
I
are you
went
milking
out,
skunks?
let's just say I know how to milk a skunk, and there's a skunk outside. If I went and milked him, would you have a shot of skunk milk?
No.
I don't even understand the rationale.
No, I'm asking you no weird little thing around it. Just if I were to go out and milk a skunk, would you drink skunk milk?
It's a legit question.
I'm just asking that question, simple out.
Of course not.
And why not?
I don't know.
It's a skunk. It's something that stinks. So you assume that the milk is going to stink.
Okay, if I told you that has nothing to do with the milk of it, that's a separate sack.
What
a
if it's
separate
cat milk? Like maybe
Okay,
that's
cat
about-
milk.
Yeah.
No,
if I went
I
out and
hate
milked a
cats.
cat, would you drink a pint of cat milk for me?
No.
No.
Why? Why?
It's just not.
All right, land the plane. What is the
No,
plane?
I'm just, but that's exactly the point. It's another species breast milk. So whether it's cat, cow, bat, it's all the same thing. It's just again we're getting. I'm sorry, I'm taking this.
No,
a
it's
pass.
this is good. This is
Um,
good.
But you're conditioned, and your
conditioned.
program societal has said, oh, milk does a body good. Horseshit. Milk does not do a body good.
Yeah.
Milk is fortified with everything that does a body good.
Yeah.
So I could take a dump and put calcium in it and say, here, poop it does a body good. I'm just saying, they're selling milk, and you should not
I
be
just sounded
drinking.
like SpongeBob. Blah.
I agree.
So that was my only point. I just kind of thought of it right now, so I thought I'd make that point now because we mentioned the dairy and cheese. So
I
anyway.
agree, but I don't drink milk either. I've never joked.
Okay, well, but again, and that's to me that's and that's kind of like we got to peel back the curtain here.
I don't think
and ask why you're doing that. Well, this is what we've always done.
Carnivores
Oh.
necessarily promote drinking milk or.
But it's all coming from the same. Well, again, from my soapbox, it's coming from the same space.
Right. From a vegan perspective, it's relevant because they choose no dairy. From an omnivore, it's not as relevant because you have a choice of dairy or not, and you're still an omnivore. From a carnivore perspective, dairy qualifies, but there's a large number of people that are intolerant of lactose, which doesn't eliminate dairy per se. You can get either raw milk or fermented milk
Or you can take like those
that
supplements.
digest the lactose.
Lactate.
Oh, so you
Whatever.
can take an enzyme that will break down because people that are lactose intolerant are missing an enzyme in their system, and there's a large number of that, especially Asian culture. Like 1 out of every 3 is missing that enzyme. So I'm not gonna hang my hat on dairy for that's a personal thing.
It's actually a mutation in the gene that especially, believe it or not, for people who are white. It's a special mutation that developed over time.
What
To be
is
able to drink milk or not? Be able
Yeah, that allows you to.
to be able with so white
Yeah,
people.
more native cultures have an aversion to it, and it's been a few Asiatic and then Europeans that developed a mutation in their gene which allowed them to drink another mammal's milk.
Right. Have you guys had evolution in your thing yet?
No, but we will be going over that. That's
How
a
the
hot
hell
topic.
can you? Because you just
We've
hit on something.
touched on it several
dabbled.
times.
Okay.
Yeah, we've dabbled.
An
That's good.
evolution in what?
No, just evolution and
in general, maybe biblically or scientifically. But I will say, from my standpoint, dairy is. I can see the whole appealing to psychology as why not a cat. Well, I would say why not a cat because cats are also carnivores, and why would you eat drink another carnivore's milk rather than the benefit of a ruminant, which is cows? They have 6 stomachs to be able to break down the cellulose that we cannot out of grasses.
Right.
So we do get nutrients out of cow's milk. Processed, store-sold cow's milk filled with antibodies and bad stuff. I totally
But
disagree.
then you can say that
well-
about your meat digestion.
So-
a cat can digest the meat because of the
No, cats
intestine.
don't eat grass,
So
No,
and they don't have 6 stomachs.
the meat.
Yeah, I ate a cow because the cow has already turned and converted those nutrients into fat-soluble and water-soluble nutrition.
So we can touch on that real quick because here's the problem with that. So how do you get milk out of a cow?
You milk them through their udders.
No,
But
no. You rape them.
What?
Because
Come on, dude.
Oh, wait a minute.
Seriously.
Wait a minute.
I'm
This,
taking your beer.
Hold on.
wait a minute.
I'm
wait
touching-
A minute. Yes.
I'm touching
but
on
we're not
Russ.
on
Go
the
ahead.
moral ground,
Go ahead.
but yes, that's
Yeah.
you're getting into a whole other topic.
Exactly.
I'm actually touching on Russ's topic.
But
And you spun it as it's the only way cows produce milk.
Well, it technically,
well,
Because he's going to say
The way
they
you
have to
said
be
it.
pregnant,
The way you
and
said
then
it.
They have to be
they
pregnant.
You know what?
force them
I'll
to
tell
get
you what,
pregnant.
for
It's
the-
not the same in the animal
wait a
community.
minute. Wait a minute now. For the sake of this argument, fucking right on. Like that's you got to throw a dart right in the bullseye, and that really is the milk we're all getting at the grocery store. Yes, it's constant rape, and then as soon as you're born, yank the baby out and rape you for more. You know that's what happens. The cows never know their kids. They never feel, and they absolutely 100% feel that baby's born, yanked away. They feel that grief. They feel that, and then they're just literally vacuumed to the point, and that cycle just repeats itself until the cow can no longer produce. And then, hey, throw it into the meat grinder, and there it goes. So, again, small little side picture of my soapbox over here with the moral part of it. I don't know if that needs to be talked about any more than that. That's pretty graphic in and of itself.
Yeah.
So, moving on.
So on top of that,
no, that's not even.
No, not moving on, but like moving on from me talking about it.
So
free
after
to
you do
retort.
that, yes, you do rip the calf away. All right.
Not in all cases.
Not in all cases. Most.
Well,
Over
Oh, wait, now-
90%.
No.
Go ahead.
Hold on, because there's a clear process that I want you to talk about. Go ahead, please.
Well, in factory, like this is a big sticking point.
Now
I
there
think
is a
we'll-
huge sticking point
Yeah.
for me, and I'm glad that was the first thing you said
Yeah.
because that's where I was going with the major picture of what I'm talking about, and that's the factory part.
Yeah.
If you have your own cow and you milk your own cow and you do your own thing, okay, still from a health standpoint, cross species milk is still suspect and all that, and I don't
Weird.
condone that anyway. But yes, if you had your own couple of chickens and your own couple of deer. Well, okay, your own couple of deer and your own couple of cows and your own couple of this, and every once in a while okay, I wouldn't choose it, but you know what? You're not. That's your thing, and it's not. You are not creating this humongous global issue with fact. Like I guess, and maybe I could have been more specific when you asked the moral question. Is the factory farm? And that's what I have a huge problem with, like huge. So whenever I think of this whole argument, I'm coming from what I've seen from the mass, and that is where, like, I don't care what you say, you're not going to defend that. Like, I don't care. I'd rather everyone dies of malnutrition than to continue on that factory level shit that's going on out there. Anyway, back.
I think if we can join forces and really support local sustainable, no matter what the religious diet subscription is, everybody will benefit. And I do think all our listeners should also come to that table too, and shop local, ethical.
Well, don't go that far now.
Ethical is philosophical, is what I'm talking about. So whatever you believe is the most ethical, because you can go, you're okay with fish and bugs dying, to ship your food. So at some point you have to make a judgment call of, how much blood you're seeing versus,
I'm not over the rape thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
I do think that was a low blow the way you worded it, but
that's more or less what it is.
That's a human filter that we're trying.
Yes,
to
that's
put
a
on
human lens that it's going through.
But you're
like,
forcing
there's
it.
no such thing as rape in the animal culture.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of an animal?
Wait a minute, Edward.
that's actually a good point.
Have you ever heard of an animal being like, "Hey, you want to go out tonight?" No, I'm not really into you.
But
Like,
there is courting
or
rituals.
that type
yes,
of.
there is. There is courting rituals.
Yeah,
Okay, and we're supposed to be like.
often it's not respected.
It often isn't, but there are courting rituals even in the animal world.
Where's that study?
Okay, and what are we
Watch
supposed
Animal
to
Planet,
sit there
man.
and watch it play out? Like, does this one seem like we're gonna be able to get some milk out of this, or is this gonna be a situation where this would be a liquid rape to make the milk?
Actually, I think that, as funny as it is, that's a great
What?
point. If we want to appeal to nature in some effect, you know what I mean? Like if you want to look at nature as law, that's true. And humans, but again, not to be
Well, because
cavalier
nature
about it,
has
because
laws.
we're trying to equate that with being immoral. right? Rape is immoral. Well, if that's the case, then
Yes.
for anyone who eats any plant-based food that's not actual food, that's an ethical and immoral issue then for me.
Wait, what?
Wait, what do you mean?
I think you need to unpack that one.
Monsanto,
Okay.
are their foods natural?
Okay, so I have gone over and over again how much I don't like Monsanto.
I know you have. I know you have. But what I'm saying is, can I live off a plant-based diet just solely off Monsanto food? If I chose to.
Be rough,
Yes.
you could.
Yes, I could.
Yeah.
Good.
So,
Well, you're talking about now humans poisoning humans.
Yeah.
Like,
well, we're talking
I mean,
about immorality when you
Yeah,
said
morality.
rape.
Well, now you're getting into like, does broccoli have feelings type of stuff?
I don't
No.
know. The plant-based people would
Oh.
have to tell me
Are
that.
you?
Well, that's
You're
what
not
I'm saying.
seriously going there, are you?
I mean, there is a study.
There's no sentience. There's no sentience in a
There
plant.
is
Awareness is
Screaming.
different than
Plants
sentience. Awareness is definitely different than sentience.
Awareness. True. But I do think there's over personification in a lot of.
Yeah.
But
I
the way that we treat livestock is hands down just it's the essence of cruelty. If
Yeah.
that was done to humans, and it has been done in the
was
past,
gonna
right?
say, yeah.
We would come down them, hands down, atomic arms. I mean, but we don't protect any other life form the way that we protect a human, and that is sacrilegious.
Right, but
I mean,
what I'm saying
it's-
is, would you equate every carnivore as a supporter of Purdue Farms?
if they are, I'll put it to you this way: if Mike is supporting a
Well,
local
why
farm,
wouldn't you?
okay,
You're-
Because we're not.
If Mike is supporting a local farm and he's eating local, then that's different, right? Because if everything is humanely raised, I'm not going to be as
Humanely
staunch
raised
with
might
it.
be one thing, but there's no humanely killed.
So,
Nothing wants to die.
but hold on, I'm going into now. Factory farming is based around cruelty of life in general. If you're eating a McDonald's burger, if you're eating any kind of fast-made product, you are participating in absolute cruelty.
There's no argument from anyone here.
I was gonna say I don't think anyone's gonna disagree that factory farming is
McDonald's
pretty
and
fucking
years.
horrible.
Yeah.
Meat eater or not. I don't think anyone would be like, "Hey, look at them go!"
Right.
Unless you're like a soulless harlot. In fact, I think there was a recent push by the poultry to say they want the speed kill lines, they kill however many per second. They want to double that,
Yeah.
and it was denied. But again, to me, it's all the end game. Okay, yeah, it's whether you pet him, stroke him, feed him good food before you cut him. Okay, great. He did. Okay, great, fine. But again, you're still the end game. You're killing something that doesn't want to die. And we talked about that when we were prepping for this discussion. And I'll circle back to it probably 100 more times before the night's over.
I think we are covering ethics later in the show.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think
so I apologize.
we covered
All right.
covering
No,
ethics
me
the whole
too.
No,
time.
because you made a comment that was like a good comment to lead into that. I just let it into it a little sooner. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, so on that side of it, I can't. Nobody in this world can condone factory manufacturing of all these animals and the cruelty that goes along with it. And dairy is one of the worst offenders because you have to pump that cow full over and over again, or you are not going to get her to produce enough calves to keep producing milk. And so, and on top of that, let's say you are a big cheese eater. All right. So cheese. Let's actually do a comparison. All right. What are your estrogen levels in tofu?
Well, tofu has lots of phytoestrogens, that's for sure.
Phytoestrogen. Did you know that actually blocks estrogen?
There are studies showing people that consume
Yes.
high amounts of tofu
It
have
act-
higher estrogen and consequences.
Well, I actually have a study to debunk that study.
Great.
So,
There's a wash.
So
Thank God for Mike and Juice.
right? Because the phytoestrogen actually blocks the estrogen. So because it's a receptor, okay? So it's a receptor in your body that invites the estrogen. The phytoestrogen actually fills that sensor, which blocks the estrogen. So, no.
I don't know what topic we're on.
So now,
Well, we were about to go, and then I
cheese.
think the cheese.
Yeah, so
Okay,
cheese is chock full of estrogen because you're getting it from a cow that was just pregnant.
Right.
It is chock full of it. So you are inviting a concentrated form of estrogen right into your bloodstream every single time you eat cheese.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This might be a dead horse topic because I don't think anybody's really saying, "Oh my God, cheese." But I do think there are many forms of dairy that are adequate. Again, a good philosophy is not to overconsume no matter what. And so if you're having a cow, so nature should kind of dictate seasonally or quantity wise the stuff we're eating. And a cow should, in a lifetime, be able to naturally produce so much milk. Mm-hmm. Should we push it to its profitability? Okay. We can do some of that, but not to an extreme, if you're getting pus and infections and all this kind of stuff. And then from a nutritional standpoint and an educational standpoint, how does that estrogen level change if you heat it, if you turn it into cheese, if you ferment it, if you drink it raw? I know we can't get raw cheese or milk.
You gotta
here
go to
in
France
Ohio.
to get that type of stuff,
Or have your own milk.
Or
Right.
whatever.
Well, there are some
Amish
states.
people do.
Yeah,
yeah.
there are some states it's not a law. I think in Ohio you can be prosecuted.
But why are they busted by the feds?
Right.
Yeah.
Because
I just saw a Portlandia skit where they were selling. They got arrested for selling raw
Because
milk.
they promote
It's almost like a
lot of health
cocaine thing,
benefits,
right?
yeah.
Whole milk. Bust them.
What are you doing?
Yeah, so I think that it's a big topic you can kind of look at. I don't really care to debunk the health.
Yeah, I'll skip over the large study because I was going to go into the estradiol and how that actually
I
is.
concede to cheese. I don't really care about
Yeah,
it.
so
But that's the thing too, like the milk, like everything good in milk or cheese is put into it.
That's not true. Actually.
No?
No. You have vitamin K2 that you cannot get in plants. You can only get in like cheese and animal products.
Actually, no animals create those. You can
They
get
don't
them from
synthesize
all natural
those.
supplements. Yes, you can. Yeah.
Natural supplements.
Yes. All natural supplements because the animals themselves don't produce them. They
Right.
actually get them from the ground.
Right, exactly. They pre-convert it for us.
But
But so
it-
you're
it-
okay. So we
from-
can get in. Oh man, I
Well,
wish
not, yeah, because like now we're getting into protein. Like
Yeah.
animals don't synthesize their own protein either. Like
exactly.
as you mentioned back when you
So-
said the 3-ounce steak, and I'm like, okay, well,
Let's
now
take
you're
B.
getting into protein.
Let's take B12 for example.
mediums, and,
Okay.
and you don't. Animals don't.
Well, let's
Like
finish
they-
on. Let's finish this first. Okay.
Okay.
So estradiol, phytoestrogen, right?
Okay.
So you can actually see on the graph up there, which will be in the slides later. Which will be in the slides later if you subscribe to our newsletter. So you can see where the estradiol and testosterone. Okay. I'm going to just skip the studies and go straight to the fun part, the mortality. Okay. So those who did not consume the soy products had a much higher mortality rate than those who had a high soy intake. This was an actual study. It's all done right here. It was 5 cohort studies done by the Asian Pacific Cancer Prevention Center. You'll be able to pull those studies right off the slides. The lowest mortality rate was those who consumed high
ER?
soy.
It says high soy ER. What is that? What's ER?
It's a base type of soy. It's a soy concentrate.
Okay.
So we'll go into different. We won't go into all that here because it's different kinds of soy. But anyway,
Okay. So this study shows that you should eat soy.
that soy is actually 100% good for you if you intake it in the right ways. Obviously, you can't eat it 24 hours a day.
Right.
It has to be part of a healthy
It
diet.
has to be. So if you're not eating soy,
No. I'm saying is in this study,
Yeah.
it had to be part of the diet. So.
Yeah.
And this was 5 different cohort studies, 5 of them, and inside of it, oh man, me too. Inside of it, and you'll be able to pull these studies. It was from a cancer prevention study they did in the Asiatics. The lowest mortality rate from those who had high consumption of soy, and that was because it is both high protein, and it also contributes to a healthy body. So,
I mean, okay, so there might be a correlation with mortality, overall mortality. But I mean, there are some people that are not as tolerable to soy, where
There are some. I agree.
They do spike their estrogen.
Yeah, my son was allergic to soy actually.
Yeah, and
Like
it does have.
he just can't take it.
Yeah, and some are. Some are. I mean, I'm allergic to macadamia nuts. You know, so.
Yeah. So I mean, I think there's plenty of countries that don't eat a lot of soy and have just as good longevity. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure that says anything, but soy has some health benefits.
Yes,
but
exactly.
I worry, just talking about soy, and I think why it's rightly vilified is because it has become the number one replacement of processed.
I think, going along with you, I agree that I think it's the processing that causes it to be harmful. And that's why I do believe if you are going to have soy, you should stick to things like your non-GMO soys.
And I think it's the responsibility of these studies and things to not really try to make it look like veganism or omnivore or Mediterranean is the be all end all, because I think you're going to have people that say, I'm eating plant-based, I'm eating vegan, I'm not going to die ever of anything.
Oh, no.
I mean, there have been people that have killed their babies and all this kind of stuff because
everyone's gonna
you
die.
have to know your stuff. Like Russ said, yeah, but there are funny studies.
The number one cause of death is birth.
Oh! That is a quote that's going on Instagram.
Well, I probably didn't. Someone else probably came up with that.
Yeah, but you're gonna be on the T-shirt. With
Yeah,
it.
that's going to be your T-shirt.
But like Russ said, I do think extra work has to be put into being a vegan if it is sustainable. I mean, to me that's kind of questionable for all stages of life. And maybe for middle-aged people, okay, but I think it's irresponsible to push an agenda of any sort without saying. And I think it's actually more detrimental to push a vegan diet because they do lack in things that you have to supplement and you have to be aware of.
And that's true. And I don't think you should go into any diet without taking all those considerations in.
Yeah.
But I mean, on that though, but I'll get right over to you.
No, it's okay. I was just...
On that though, everything that you get from animals comes from the natural nutrients, either from the ground or the plants themselves.
Right. There's no difference.
There might be a conversion process, but you still get it from the ground. The animals got it from something.
Right. And
So-
that's why we can't eat that something because
So-
we can't convert it as efficiently.
Well, to a degree.
many
B12, for example.
Yeah,
okay?
that's a good one.
B12. All right, B12 you need, right?
Right.
Well, get this. Animals don't make it.
Yeah, bacteria make it.
Bacteria makes it. Very good. So all you need is a help.
in your kimchi and
Exactly.
Yeah, it can be made in your gut. It
Yeah.
can, but small quantities.
Yeah.
There are many vegans that are deficient in B12.
Oh, exactly.
There are omnivores that are deficient.
But
in
again,
B12 too.
all you need is a natural. There's labs around the world that grow this all naturally for you, and all you have to do is take a supplement. You're done.
Well,
So-
a lot of it's an injection, and it has some effects. Like not everybody is subscribing. It's necessary for prevent brain damage from
This-
vegans, but it's not necessary
Yeah.
if you eat responsible.
Again, but B12 is just it's grown from bacteria. It's easy to take those in.
It's easy to take bacteria in.
Once it's made in a safe form, yes.
Yeah, so you have to you have to
in a
buy
high
an
quality
industry.
form.
Yes. And there's many companies around the world that do it for you. And it's
Right.
easy on you.
But it's more processing. So it's like, what's the processor? Nature or
Yeah.
Monsanto? Ha!
Not Monsanto. Not Monsanto.
Well, then we get into the overlap because
Again.
that goes into the causes and
Support your all natural labs.
And stuff like that.
Especially if they're local.
You're talking
like what they feed
agriculture.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
But
I'm
let
only
me-
a proponent of regenerative agriculture, which we'll get to, I think, in the sustainable portion of it.
So, do you think people who eat meat can't be whole food eaters?
No, I think that anybody can be a whole food eater.
Okay.
Yeah, I would not demonize. Now, if you were strictly a carnivore and you didn't ingest anything else, I'd say you need to research a little more
Yeah.
because your body obviously needs other things.
Right.
But if you were to, let's say that you did ingest some meat, yeah, you are going to suffer some repercussions from that. Okay, we can touch on that shortly. You will suffer some repercussions from that. But it does not mean you cannot be a healthy individual. So yeah,
Can I interview you guys for just a second on B12?
We're being interviewed.
Okay.
Come on, bring
So how much B12 do you supplement, Russ?
Oh man, I don't know the milligram of the B12 that I take, but I take it like every couple of days.
As pill form?
Yeah, a little chewable.
Okay.
I don't know, whatever. It's probably standard, whatever the standard health store.
like a men's multivitamin or something.
This is actually a B12. It's not a
Yeah,
multi.
yeah.
It's actual B12. But it's I don't know what the milligram is.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
actually take mine in liquid form from organic drinks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know that numerous dietitians disagree on the amount of B12 you should be taking?
I agree. Yes.
That's another thing. I take it
Yeah.
indiscriminately. I don't take it.
That's why I don't take that much, and I relegate it to.
Right. Out of caution.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I just want to drive home the point that if you are eating a natural diet, you shouldn't have to think about supplementation. And when there's even the medical professionals disagree on the quantities, how can you really be sure if you're raising a 4-year-old vegan that they're getting the right quantities? I mean, once you're a teenager or something, your brain's mostly developed, and really it's not as sad. But when the kid can't make their own decisions and the parent is enforcing these things and they don't even know the quantities that are safe, excess quantities of B12 has been shown to cause lung cancer in some PubMed studies. So
Yeah.
there are consequences to
There can be too much, yes. Yeah. Agreed. Now, before we progress to our next part of our subject, a word from our sponsors.
Have you ever wanted to train Muay Thai? Perhaps there's no gyms near you. Perhaps you work odd hours. Perhaps, like a few of us, you don't like germs. Whichever way it goes, you can train online with some of the best instructors from around the country, either live or in class with other students. Living Muay Thai gives you the chance to do all of this and much more. So jump into live classes and on demand right now. livingmuaythai.com.
Again, I'm going to advise everybody to go ahead and go to pcrm.org, and they actually cover some of this.
Yeah.
So, because it's a full council of physicians. So,
Right,
yeah.
and I've seen a down the line of physicians that just recommend different supplements, different quantities, and as a consumer, how do you know? But if you're an omnivore, which some omnivores are deficient in B12 too, but I do think that's based on the 1970. You're reducing the amount of red meat. There's just, and a lot of people aren't eating a lot of fish and sources of B12. So.
Yeah.
Right. Marine-based foods.
I know you've read things before. Can I read something,
Please.
for you? Okay, because this is there is actually a and I recommend all you to read this. And it really comes from my platform more than the nutritional that we've been talking about. It's called Carnism. And actually, it's kind of it's a lady that kind of went down this journey of what we're really talking about here, and actually there was a what we're talking about. What about B12? And it's a short blurb, but I'll read through it. It says, while we can only consume naturally occurring B12 by eating animals or drinking dirty water or eating our own excrement, B12 is readily available for vegans in many fortified foods, soy milk, nutritional yeast and spreads, or can be consumed in the form of a supplement. So there really is no shame in consuming fortified foods or taking a supplement because the food you eat does not naturally provide it, as many vegans seem to think this is the case to argue, or many non-vegans seem to think this is the case to argue against us. Not at all. It turns out that if you live in a developed or developing country, you're pretty much a walking supplement advertisement, and you probably don't even realize it. The bread you eat is fortified with vitamins. Juices are fortified. Cow milk has vitamins added to it during the manufacturing process. Table salt often has iodine added to it. Livestock animals are fed and injected with supplements. Breakfast cereals are fortified. And unless they work outdoors, all meat, dairy, egg eaters, especially if they have darker skin, need to be taking a vitamin D supplement on a daily basis. All those listed foods are fortified because the vast majority of people fail to get anywhere near the amount of adequate nutrition without them. So not only do non-vegans have no right to condemn vegans eating fortified foods or taking a supplement for B12, and 99% of non-vegans eat a heavily supplemented diet anyway, but it is actually advisable that you do eat fortified foods or take supplements to cover your basic nutritional needs anyway.
I would say taking no supplements is greater than taking supplements. Using it from natural dietary sources is greater than taking supplements. Whether 99% of people do it doesn't mean that's the way it should be done.
Yeah, and that's why I get mine from the natural juices, and then they add it to the natural juices.
Right.
So
So I don't.
It might not be the argument, but it's just part of the argument.
You know what? I think that brings up a good point of fortification, because you said, well, milk is crappy because it's fortified, so it kind of like washes that argument away because you support some fortification and not.
I think milk is crappy because
other things.
But
it was part of your argument.
But yes, you're right.
So I do think fortification is something we should be aware of.
Yeah.
But I think when you're a whole food diet, you should be aware of your micronutrients and what provides it. Like when you eat a cow, you don't just eat T-bones. You eat the liver and the kidneys and the heart. You know, these things have, and the tendons. Cartilage and tendons actually provide fiber. Like they will help feed your microbiome. So not only that, but from a sustainability, the more of an animal you eat, the less animals you eat. You know what I mean? So I do think cows provide ruminants provide the right amount and levels as long as you're eating them responsible. You try to live on ribeyes, some people do. I don't think that's responsible. I mean, yeah, I think you want to consume liver. I mean, there is no food on earth that can go toe-to-toe with liver.
That's disgusting.
It's not. It's delicious.
Even when I was a kid, my mom... So, true story. So, my mother said, you need your liver. And I said, Mom, I don't eat liver. She said, why? I said, it's gross. And so, there was one day, she made it 4 different ways. Yeah. And she tried to get me to eat it. And I got the first one down.
Attaboy.
I got the second one down barely. Each one of these is 1 bite, right? 1 bite from each. Got the second one down barely. The next one stuck in my throat for almost 3 minutes before I got it down. I almost puked up the last one. It took me a good 5 to 7 minutes to get it down. Liver is disgusting.
Why don't you love your mom?
But you can get liver in pill form too, I will say.
So, but liver is actually also chock full of toxins, just so you understand. So if you actually
your liver doesn't store toxins.
But it is full of toxins. So we're not going to cover that right now because that would take us all day. Because it actually is. It actually is terrible for you.
That's the point,
but
right?
We can talk later about that. But yeah, liver's actually terrible for you.
Okay, well, I don't want the audience walking away with that being last. Liver's actually wonderful for you. So there. Now you can either think it's terrible or think it's wonderful. I think it's the most powerful.
Well, let's ask the cow.
Really?
They would yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can actually overdose in vitamin A from the liver. People have died from eating too much liver. And you can't get vitamin A in any plant source.
That's one I really don't like.
True. Yeah, liver's terrible. Yeah. It's gross.
It is. You put it up against any other food.
But it is.
I feel like however you prepare it,
it's not
only the outside takes on that taste. Once you bite into it, it's like Play-Doh.
See,
it has a weird.
My entire life will tell you I disagree because I wasn't a vegetarian until recently.
Hold on, I'm talking shit about liver right now. I'm on your side.
Oh, okay, keep going.
Have you ever tried it raw? Yeah. Some people eat it raw.
Wait a minute now. How many times have you eaten liver in your life?
I just started eating it this year, and now I eat it probably 3 times a month. I mix it in with my ground beef.
Do you also enjoy placenta?
I've never eaten liver.
I think sometimes like my family and my mom tries to use it to cook with, but no.
Right.
It's gross. It's like trying to eat like a little alien. You know, it's foreign to your body.
I think sometimes they try to use it for flavor. But
it's got an acquired flavor, I will admit. The first time, but now I actually enjoy it. I mix it mostly with my ground beef.
Really?
And when I get a piece of liver in there, I am thankful. It's like, hey, it's the multivitamin of nutrition, and then B, it actually is very distinct, and it's like, oh yeah, that flavor.
I'm gonna reach for the Flintstones on that one.
And most people do.
Just like when your mom tries to convince you that the giblets are actually really good. No, Mom, you just don't want them around the house anymore.
Eat the giblets; it's more sustainable.
Gross.
Good source of collagen.
Yeah, there's just things. Which, by the way, there's just things that you do get from nature. There was 3 studies done. One was in Belgium, one was UK, and one was done in it was a U.S.-Canada study that was done between both borders. And they did take it in. This one's out on the protein side again, since we're talking about supplementing. Inside the study, again, these are 3 separate studies. One was Belgium, one was the UK, one was Canada. UK was actually done by Oxford. So the non-vegans, on average, took in the U.S. 20 milligrams of protein a day, all right, or per meal.
20 grams per day.
Per meal.
Oh,
per meal. In Oxford, it was 17.6, and in Belgium, it was 17 milligrams. Lacto-ovo, those are those who include dairy but don't eat meat, it was 21.1 milligrams, okay, followed by 18.3, and finally 20. The vegans, on average per meal, took in 22.2 milligrams, followed by 19.99, followed by 23. They consumed more protein, not less. So in 3 separate studies in 3 separate countries, vegans had more protein per meal than a non-vegan.
Okay, but protein's not a protein when it comes to measuring all the amino acids, all the branched chain amino acids.
This is just protein.
Now you can call something a protein and it doesn't have some amino acids.
That is true.
So
but that's why
that's
why you supplement.
Vegetable sourced protein is about 40% less absorbable and usable. So you have to eat 40% more protein. And there's a study done recently, I think it was just done 2020, that showed people that were on even lacto-ovo vegetarian diets saw as they aged into elderly, they lost muscle much faster, and they were working out.
But those also are not supplementing.
Okay, yeah. So your diet doesn't provide it.
No, you have to supplement. Always have to supplement. And
you don't always have. I don't have to supplement.
Yeah, I would disagree.
I don't. I mean, I will. Yeah. I use natural Redmond salt for a little bit of extra. I do eat vegetables because I know there's certain sources of potassium. So, but I don't have to supplement because I'm aware of these micronutrients and where they come from. And there are shrimp, for example. If I care about potassium, I can increase my number of shrimp. But I like the taste of some vegetables that have high potassium, so I can do that.
So non-kosher.
But no, you don't have to. The vegan diet, you do absolutely have to supplement. You absolutely have to, and that's why I'll say it is an inferior diet.
You do on a carnivore diet too, because
I just told you don't.
If you are a strict carnivore, yes, you do.
Why? What nutrient can't?
Strict carnivorism.
Wait, when you say strict carnivore, that's just eating meat?
Yes.
But I don't think anyone does that.
I don't know anyone.
There's a lot. It's a big movement.
Yes, it is.
I don't
yes, it
condone it.
Yes.
But there's a big movement.
Yeah, just meat.
Oh. That's not cool.
No, that's what I'm saying.
As a meat eater, I would say that's dumb.
Yeah, you gotta break it up.
Yeah. It's actually radically stupid.
Yeah. But there are people that have done it for 20 years plus, long.
Sustainable?
They can do it. I mean, that's
personal sustainable. It is totally not sustainable.
That's not cool.
No.
Yeah, it is rough. Although I will say it's probably, I don't know, I bought a half a cow after I go vegan every year for Lent. So I'll do 40 days or however long it is. And I bought a cow. So when does Lent end?
April.
Well, I mean, it can vary a little bit from year to year.
Second week of April.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I started half a cow. And so I still have half that cow in my refrigerator. And I eat it every day and feed 2 boys. So this... In over 6 months, it's been half a cow. So one death.
Is it already cut up, or do you have to do that?
It's pre-processed. Yeah.
Okay.
But I asked for the organ meats and the bones, and
you're not going to convince me that liver's cool. It's not cool.
So I will say, okay. So let's go back to the carnivores. Do need to supplement? What would be the nutrient they need to supplement?
Good Lord. Okay, anyway.
So you don't have any specific, you just assume that they would.
I did not pull that study right now.
Because you're right. I mean, there's a low vitamin C. You have to eat the organs.
It's terrible. Carnism, I mean,
not nose to tail.
You're not getting true fibers. You're not getting true fibers.
Fiber is still debatable. The microbiome's not understandable by it.
You're not getting true fibers.
I don't mean to be this person
Rogan,
who sounds like he doesn't know anything about this. I don't really know.
Yeah. But you are.
But I'm chiming in anyway. Yeah. Does any of it matter? Like, I know people who have died in their 90s, late 90s, who have eaten meat, and well, I guess I don't know any vegans who have done that because it's not been a thing that long.
That's another good point.
Long enough. But there's more to life than like I'm obsessed over what I'm eating. Like
Oh,
I
yeah,
like what
diet
you're
can
saying.
become
Where
religion.
I don't. I know some people who just obsess over like what they're eating or what they're not eating because it's going to prolong their longevity, and it's like, well, the amount of stress you're doing right now is probably going to shorten it up. So.
I definitely think there are a lot of eating disorders. I'm obsessed with discovery and learning things, and I honestly feel slighted by the whole plant-based thing. You know, saying you should only eat red meat once a month. Not saying why. That it causes heart disease, high cholesterol, cancer, all these things that are statistically insignificant and debatable, not mentioning all the nutrition that you are lacking. So I've been eating mostly fish and chicken, not realizing how good I feel now that I've introduced high B vitamins into my diet and heme iron. Like, oh my God, I'm telling you, I've knocked off 5 years. And I've only been on a high meat-based diet since Lent ended.
You do realize that heart disease went up the very year that chicken was introduced by fast food.
You just threw me off. I don't know what.
You don't have to eat fast food to eat
Statistically,
chicken, though.
it's a mountain climb on a 45-degree angle.
I mean,
Heart
fast
disease
food is
increased
not great.
drastically increased.
So
The
chicken.
minute you introduced, because before the 1950s, it was predominantly beef, right?
Right.
So once they introduced chicken as a mainstay, you can look at the chart, and the heart disease is a skyrocket.
Right.
It's
And
a
they've-
45-degree
fast
angle.
food, though.
and
That's not the same as chicken.
It's both sides, though.
Fast
It's
food chicken
the
is not
same
chicken.
the same time that you amp up chicken consumption. That's me going and getting chicken breast for dinner over at the grocery store, okay? As well as everything else. The soon as they introduced that as a mainstay in the diet, which happened,
was good.
you know, going into the 1960s and up, all right, right into the 70s, you can look and statistically, heart disease skyrocketed from that point forward.
And that's perfect. I'm so glad you brought that up, because why did they start pushing chicken?
Go ahead, tell me.
Because it's a leaner cut. Everybody was fat phobic. Not in today's version of fat phobic.
Doesn't show.
But red meat was villainized in the 1950s because of the high fat and high cholesterol content. Everybody switched to lean cuts of meat. Yet, heart disease, which was supposedly caused by high saturated fat and red meat, and according to you, cancer, still skyrocketed when the consumption of red meat started plummeting.
What else went up?
The consumption of chicken.
No. I mean, disease-wise, what else went up?
Since when? Since 1950? I mean, diabetes.
Since the 50s,
obesity,
60s, 70s.
Everything.
Yeah. What hasn't?
So it turns out Alzheimer's and dementia went up,
Okay.
and there is a direct correlation. So, yes. So if you look, intake went up from 13 to 25 grams.
Intake of saturated fat.
Yes.
So now you're on the saturated fat, even though we
Yes.
just talked about how we went to leaner cuts of meat
So-
and everything just went up.
It did. This was actually a study done across Chicago. All right. So, and as you could see, it is a skyrocket of those whose Alzheimer's went up. All right. There's a skyrocket of Alzheimer's that went up.
Yes.
So,
I mean, I hope you're giving some details here, because just to say they.
if you include and add up the saturated fats that became part of your daily diet, that includes, and this is going on the light side. This is the light side. So let's say you had 2 large eggs, 1 slice of bacon. No one has 1 slice of bacon, by the way. I don't care who you are. Chicken thigh, skinless. All right. Whole milk, 1 cup. DiGiorno pizza. All right.
It's not
All
delivery.
right. For one. Just for one. It's not delivery. That adds up to 25.5 grams, okay, of saturated fat, right? Bad fat, right?
Well, wait a minute. Now, can we back up?
Debatably bad fat.
Can we back up? Because
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
You made a poignant statement about chicken and everything increased from there, and then you kind of just went right back to.
Oh, no, go ahead.
this.
Go ahead.
Well, it was 2 different topics.
Okay.
Now he's on to saturated fat causing Alzheimer's.
Did you define why the chicken came in and then everything skyrocketed?
It was a market shift, and he had it. It was because red meat was demonized. So
No, but
Saturated fat was demonized as well.
you said when the chicken came in, everything skyrocketed.
Heart disease, yeah.
Right. So did you? So you're saying on top of everything, the red meat, the chicken added to that.
So when
The chicken
when chicken was
a problem
introduced,
solver,
yeah, when chicken
just
was,
like when they said pork is the other white meat.
yeah, when
that was
when
all-
chicken was introduced, and we slaughter well over 1 million chickens a day. All right,
A day.
you know, it's actually
It's like 1 million chickens, like every
Yeah,
17
you're-
seconds or something.
yeah, you're not
insane.
wrong. You're not wrong. That was so in the 1950s, it escalated going to the 1960s.
Okay.
I think it was before 1972. I think it was 1 million chickens a day. But yeah,
Wow.
you're right. I believe it's almost 1 million chickens an hour now.
Oh, that's cray cray.
Yeah, it's about 1 million chickens an hour.
mean,
It's either an
yeah.
hour or
I mean,
less.
I could probably
but
easily find
Is that's
Yeah.
in the world or that's in the U.S.?
That's the U.S.
Yeah. I mean, there are, what, 325 million people in the U.S. or something
Now, mind
like
you,
that?
before the 1950s, it was, I mean, a couple chickens here and there. But after that, when red meat was demonized, he is right. That's what spurned it. That's what drove it on. But it became astronomical, and there is a direct correlation on the skyrocketing of heart disease. Now, on top of that, so mild cognitive impairment. This was a study done over in, like I said, it was over in Chicago. It was done by the geriatric psychiatry. And in this study, there was 1,341 adults. Average age was 50, followed by 21 years. All right, it was a long study. And saturated fat directly contributed to mild cognitive impairment. They found out what they were eating. They correlated the elements of what they were eating, okay? And those who ate very, very low saturated fat were almost uninhibited as far as cognitive impairment went. When they went through and they did analysis in their brains, all right, taking samples, they did find out that the higher saturated fats did cause, it was a common factor among every single person with cognitive impairment, they had high saturated fats in the brain. That was done throughout the study across 21 years.
So why?
It's the longest study done of this type.
Right, but that's not a vegan study by any means, right? That's just
It's a saturated fat
saying,
study.
so saturated fat's an optional part of the diet. Like
So-
you can get leaner cuts of. any
So what
sort
you
of
can see is, and so along this line, now this is a correlating study. This is from Herbert L.E. Archneural. All of this will be in the slides. The Alzheimer's prevalence in the U.S. corroborated that, and it's been skyrocketing as well with the market. All right. So when we
You think people are consuming more saturated fat year over year?
yes, actually it is. So
Saturated fats?
yeah. Yes. So that's one of the things that I did find is that the saturated fat consumption actually increased. So
I know I would believe polyunsaturated fats, but not saturated fats.
so mild cognitive impairment, which we know is hard to remember things, reasoning, visual spatial ability. What they did find is the APOE epsilon 4 allele
Oh, yes, of course.
that is not on the test. Okay, so this is what it was affecting. Okay, so this is what the fats were binding to.
Okay.
All right, which is what's causing the cognitive impairment. All right, again, this is a 21-year study. All right,
What kind of 21 years study?
I mean, what kind of 20?
Did they go over epidemiological studies of the past 21 years, or did they do a control group study where
It was
they...
a control group study.
So for 21 years,
Yep.
they fed people...
No, they watched diets, and and
Okay.
people had to log, and yes.
Okay, and most of those is an honor system, and for 21 years...
Ish. Obviously, none of them were vegans.
Right. And but what's
So-
I'm curious.
And mind
So
you,
you're
this
correlating
is,
the rise of saturated fat in a diet, which I
Yeah.
do have to check into that.
absolutely,
And the rise of
all
Alzheimer's.
all of this will be available in the
word,
slides.
Even though I would
So-
suggest that
Think about that.
processed foods and other things have also been on the rise. Probably
They play a
the same
factor.
rate.
They do play a factor. Yeah.
Because I mean, we can kind of go back and forth here. Where What about like all the nutrients you miss as a vegan that cause that? So this is not just a saturated fat thing, which is optional on a carnivore diet.
That is true.
What about like DHA and lack of B12 again causing cognitive brain function?
And that is true. And that is, again, why you have to supplement.
Yeah.
And in today's world, there's no reason you can't supplement.
So
It's
now
easy.
we're up to B12 and DHA as supplementation, right?
And it's, again, it's easy. It's not hard.
It's not hard. But what about vitamin A?
Supplement. It's not easy. Or it's not hard. It's not hard.
Okay, so now
So-
you're at B12, DHA, and vitamin A.
You can literally take an all-natural supplement daily, and you're fine.
All right, and what about the other B vitamins that usually vegans are low in? B6.
Those are usually included inside those supplements.
Okay, riboflavin.
Those are usually included in those supplements.
Did you know most vegans are deficient in zinc as well? And it gets more common as they age?
And that's often because of them not supplementing. And this is there's no excuse. There's no excuse for them not to supplement.
But do you see that, like, if your diet is so heavily based on supplementation, vitamin D is low, vitamin K2
You're talking
low.
about one supplement.
But you
a
can
day.
eat all the vitamin D you want in Northeast Ohio. You're not going to get all the vitamin D.
Right.
You get vitamin D.
I mean, you literally
You
only
will
need
get
20
vitamin
minutes
D.
of sun a day.
I mean,
You get vitamin D in fish products. You get vitamin D in eggs.
You
get vitamin D from the sunlight. It's a hormone. Supplementation in a lot of these do have. I mean, people are starting to back off the vitamin D recommendation supplementation because it's causing colorectal cancer.
Yeah.
In some areas, so
Vitamin D, you only need 20 minutes a day.
so
Go out in the sun. Walk.
Vitamin D or vitamin D3?
Vitamin D.
I thought D3 was the only one we got from the sun that we needed.
You're right. D3 because D is found in some plant.
D
and
is,
yeah, it's a
Yeah.
fat soluble.
Yeah.
The plants will absorb it from the sun. But D3 you cannot get from a plant. You can get it from the sun. Most people are deficient, but you can also get it from fish and eggs and liver.
So going back to the study. So
Well, I just want to. I don't know if you heard how much supplementation is included. Right now, I think we're up to like 5 or 6.
and again,
vitamins.
in today's society, it's not hard to supplement. It really isn't.
It's not hard, but I mean, we're going to go into sustainability and agriculture. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, ecology and stuff like that.
We'll be hitting that.
And so when you talk about more processes, more shipping, more things involved,
Yeah.
you are leaving a bigger carbon footprint.
Ish. But anyway,
Okay.
back to the study.
Oh, still on that.
So in this study, it was the beta amyloid plaque within the brain, within the cerebral cortex and the hippocampus. Okay. So those are all parts of the brain. All right.
Okay.
So all of those had that beta amyloid plaque. All right. Which was caused by the saturated fats, which caused both the cognitive impairment and Alzheimer's. And they were able to directly place it right back on animal products.
No, well, saturated fat, which you can get outside of animal products as well. So it's okay for you to supplement all these things that do cause brain damage and functionality problems.
I'm getting brain damage right now.
But it's not okay to remove or watch your saturated fat intake on a well-planned diet.
You always have to watch your saturated fats.
Okay.
And by the way, cholesterol and stuff doesn't come from plants. So,
Yeah, I mean, your brain makes cholesterol, and you can get cholesterol in food, but you can also get cholesterol out of like coconut oil,
oh, yeah, no.
and you need cholesterol.
The right kind of cholesterol.
Well, all right. You want to elaborate on that?
No, good Lord. No.
Because I mean, it's a major thing
So-
because your brain functions on cholesterol, and a
Yeah.
lot of vegans are shown to be low. You talk about cognitive deficiency. If you're low on cholesterol, actually during Lent, I got a blood test and I was low on cholesterol.
Yeah.
The doctor called it out,
Yeah.
and I was eating coconut oil.
But these are only things, these are all things that you work with your doctor on and you supplement. That's not hard. You work with your doctor and you
I
supplement.
mean, don't you think that washes out your argument and you get tested for saturated fat? And, you know,
I know.
we need a vegan nutritionist then on this argument because.
no, both side nutritionists.
Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, because I think you guys. I mean, you guys are fencing, and it's all
Yeah.
Right.
You're all making sense.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're ever going to
But
come to a
again-
conclusion on this.
Yeah.
You're right.
And again, this was a 21-year study that anybody can pull.
Well, not solved, but
All right, anybody can pull this.
But most of his solving is saying supplement externally, outside of the diet.
Yeah.
Part of the diet is taking a pill or an injection.
Which is all plant derived. It's fine.
Not
So-
always.
Well, you know what? I always thought if you can't, what you just said kind of rang a bell.
vegetable-based.
What you just said kind of rang a bell. Like, I always thought that about jobs. Like, if you can't do it in one, don't do it. Like, or like if you with a meal, with a diet, like if you can't do it within the diet, you're propping it up with pills that you have to buy. Yeah, that makes sense.
Right, I would
Like,
understand that
if you
from an
can't
ethical
all
standpoint.
do it
not a
within
health
the-
standpoint.
So
Within the diet.
with the way our market works, you always have to. So with the way our market works, okay, whether you're
But he's saying you don't have to
whether-
if you eat
if
meat
you're a
as
mass
well.
production carnivore, yes, you do, because you're still eating meat that is eating Monsanto all day and night. Yes, yes, because your average consumer is not going out to a small farm. So yes, you still have to.
You have to be aware. If you're not eating nose to tail, you're not eating the organs, you're going to be deficient in a lot of these things, and you should probably supplement.
I think that's on
vitamin D.
both sides,
Yeah.
though. I mean,
Yeah.
Correct.
I think the whole there's just a vegan fad going on lately that is not healthy.
Right.
I think there's a fan of both sides that's unhealthy.
I agree. I totally agree.
Do you think the
But
vegan...
there is that group of vegans that think just simply cutting out meat and they're healthy.
No,
Exactly.
No.
But there's
And-
that's what's being
that's-
pushed in the media.
That's and that is wrong. You do have to make sure you're working with your doctor to get the
Right.
proper supplementation.
Right. Right. And as the trendy Beyond Burger and whatever Whopper, as those things come, people should be aware. But there is no awareness. I think Beyond Meat does fortify their meat, but the other one does not. So you're basically just eating a bunch of processed,
I will tell
nutrient
you,
deficient.
Aaron has talked about that, like Impossible Burger and Beyond Meat stuff, so much, and I was like against it, like not gonna happen, never gonna touch my lips, I'm not gonna try that stuff. So like, one day I go to Starbucks and I'm like, I'm gonna try that, and I try to get it, and they're out, and it's like early in the morning, and then I go again and I'm like, I'm gonna try that, they're out, it's early in the morning, I'm like, so. And this happened a bunch, so I'm like, people must like it.
They're so healthy. So many healthy people.
But I
That's the other thing you
so
can't.
I finally got it, and I was like, oh, they have it.
You
Do I
can't-
want it? Go ahead.
And that's a big misnomer, and along those lines is like you can't go out and eat Impossible Burgers and be like, okay, I'm
Nope.
plant-based. That's junk food. Like there is junk food that's
But
vegan.
when I
Yes.
tried
Even
it,
no matter how much they put it in an Impossible Burger and everything, yes, you might say like instead of a burger, it satisfies that portion of whatever my meat eating brain, but that's as far as you should take it.
when I tried it, I was transported back to 5th grade with like one of those Miss
A
Crunch
Salisbury
Bowl type.
steak.
It tasted like a Salisbury steak that you
It
got
is
from one of
very
those
cheap
little.
tasting.
I'm like, this is not good. I waited all this time to like all this build up, and now there's letdown. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
never again.
Yeah.
I mean,
Peel back
like
the foil.
I'm gonna eat meat.
Well, you gotta go back to what you said way at the early is follow the money.
True.
Any-
Ingredients are dollars.
What do I want to? What's hot right now? Veganism. Okay, let's put some shit together and give a vegan a patty of something. I
Give
mean,
a vegan a patty.
if it's vegan,
That
I
should
don't
be on
care
a
what the
t-shirt.
hell it is. It could, like you said, it could be a Twizzler. I mashed up a bunch of Twizzlers and put some hickory smoke flavor on it. Here you go. Here's a vegan patty. It's like, and we can do this about meat. We can do
It's
it about
trendy.
plant based. We can go back and
Yeah.
forth about what's good, what's bad. And,
Yeah.
and again, I almost want to say I concede. I concede to what you're going to tell me is good about meat, and I concede to what I know is good about plant-based, and let's just say we'll meet in the middle.
So, like, if
Based on this
somebody were to
conversation
say
tonight. I think
something
that's-
about being a food libertarian,
Yeah.
Which, by the
Like
way,
I said,
I have to
like
say
an
that the
hour
only
ago.
food libertarian in the room is Edward.
Yeah, join us in part 3 for the